And you've also traveled to a few other places. You've been to Ukraine. You said you've been embedded with groups in Ukraine. Talk to me about that.
So yeah, I spent last summer and 2016 and January 2017 in Ukraine with a couple of different groups.
What kind of groups?
Right sector and Donbass. So one is like in Avdiivka, which is the hottest place, and the second time I went to Svetlodarska Duga, which was also.
And you're just embedding means what? You're kind of just witnessing what they're doing.
I'm just spending the whole time.
And they know who you are.
Absolutely.
And what are you finding? What's going on in Ukraine?
I'm not studying like politics. I'm only interested in like behavior of fighters and behavior of civilians in the front line.
Yeah.
So honestly, I don't care about the general political sense of that, but I'm interested in the behavior.
Yeah.
So how, for example, is interaction between fighters and their commanders and so on. So that was basically what I was looking
at. The way they work is the way things in Ukraine, is that very different from what you're finding in Syria and Yemen?
Absolutely the same.
Oh, they're the same.
Absolutely
so you're finding the way that fighters in crisis areas, so these three places, Yemen, Iraq, and Ukraine, they all react the same way, they all make decisions the same way.
Absolutely. And that's why we did the same survey about conflict participation in many places. We also did it in Congo. Because, if something works...
You went to Congo as well?
Yeah. If something works in Syria, Congo, and Ukraine... Well,
certainly that work. You think that's generalizable.
Exactly.
Well, and what's the nugget? What's the thing? What are the things you found? What are the common threads here?
So I'm particularly interested in, for example, this topic of my book is not why people join armed conflict. That's we kind of figured out. Okay, it's grievance. They don't like stuff. They're going to go take arms and deal with it, right? But then the question is, we have so many groups right now. Look at Syria, thousands of groups. They were like, they could not even find the names for the groups because they were all the same, and there's a limit number of words to use for names of the groups. So the question is, how do fighters choose a particular group to join?
Yeah.
So a lot of people joined Islamist group, Jabhat al-Nusra, Ahrar al-Sham, those groups in Syria, because of their good organizations. For example, which
looks the most together.
Plus, which one has a medical support?
Oh.
You go find job, you want insurance,
right.
Don't you?
Yeah.
So do they.
Okay.
And I interviewed people who were changing like 5-6 groups since the beginning of the war.
Because they're just trying to find the front runner.
They were just trying, okay, these groups lost their funding or the new leader is kind of
Yeah.
So, let's move.
Interesting. Won't they also suffer a similar kind of fate as ISIS? Because if they're joining and they're switching all the time, then you don't have people who have resolve. You don't have people who are committed to the cause of that one specific group. And so that group will inevitably, unless it's able to maintain its hegemonic position, that group is going to fracture and disappear.
No, this market is really fluctuating.
Yeah.
So
the market of insurgency groups.
Yes. This industry, because, this group is number one, the most organized today. Well, tomorrow a couple of leaders could be killed. They're going to lose funding. They're going to lose logistics supplies, or something else is going to happen. Okay, well, it's not the most organized. We have number two.
Great.
So it's moving. Like, I know some groups where they were like very popular, but then leaders either left to other groups because leaders also move.
Oh no, why? So it's not just the lower ranks.
No, they actually, who was big in that? ISIS and Jabhat al-Nusra, they actually do take leaders from other groups. Like good leaders. It's the same as in business.